I says, we're going to take a trip, go to Norway and that. He says, I'll give you time off, so don't quit. So
They didn't want to lose you.
we left then in June 20th, 23rd, and we come back in August. So.
And you went, what year did you two go?
66.
66.
Things were cheaper then.
Yeah.
We paid $339 to fly from Vancouver to Denmark a piece.
Straight through.
Yeah.
They fly across the
Round
United
trip.
States to Fisher Bay, over Greenland, into Iceland.
Yeah, and we ended up in Denmark.
Then
we stayed there for a day or two to kind of rest up. Then we flew to Oslo. From Oslo to Bergen, and we took the boat along the coast of Norway. We had our own stateroom.
Up to Alstahag?
Far north.
Further north.
Mom had, as we had to go. Then we stayed there for, I don't know forget how long. I suppose
like
a week.
playing by notes.
Was your
Then
mother still alive then?
No.
Oh, no.
I had relatives there. I had cousins and stuff. And then we got back on the boat and went up to northern Norway, way up around the peak. And that's where I stuck my head out the window and took a picture at 1 o'clock. Then we got back on the
We went to Sweden.
train and went along the coast of Sweden.
Full length, way to the end.
Yeah. To see George's mother's sister down.
Then they take and put that whole thing on the boat, you know.
Yeah, when we left there, we went to the end of there and got on a boat across to Germany, and they took the train right on the on the boat.
On the boat.
Yeah, we didn't get off the train.
How nice.
And
They
then,
went to tunnels.
Because you could have just stayed to sleep and...
yeah.
You wouldn't even notice.
And then we stopped in
We went back to Denmark. Then we left again.
Yeah,
went
we
across
rested
to Germany.
Yeah, we stayed in, I forget what town, but some of the big,
Copenhagen.
yeah, we stayed there, but then in Germany.
Oh, in Germany.
We stayed at, well, two of the bigger towns there.
Yeah.
One right along the river. And then, because
Munich, maybe?
I'd have to look at my map. And we spent the night here and the night there. Then we got on the boat, and it's the Rhine or the Rhone.
The Rhine.
Okay, and we took that down quite a ways south.
They had
Rudolstein or
orchestra
something
playing on
like
the
that.
boat.
And then we got off the boat there, and we went to,
Switzerland.
no, we went to see Donnie first.
Yeah, I know.
He was in the service near it, in a German town where we stayed.
Stuttgart, probably.
I don't know, it was in Germany.
Sounded like it.
That's where Kay was.
Yeah,
Stuttgart.
and-
That's where the army base is.
Oh, and then we got back on the boat, on the bus. No, we took train to the town in Switzerland. Anyway, Montana Hotel was there at the top of the hill, and that's where we stayed.
In Lucerne.
Then the next day they came and got us, and we went by bus through Switzerland. And we stayed one night in Switzerland along the way.
Did you go up into the mountains and see the...
Part of the roof
Yeah.
is glass.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But you know that
Country.
the train went on a track, and then it had another track in between the two rails. You know how they are, and it had cogs in this one.
It was so steep.
So we went up the mountains, and on that train, it just, and then by bus. And whenever the bus got to a corner, it would honk its horn. Remember?
Yeah, they still do that.
Honk its horn till we got
Around
around.
the corner,
Yeah.
two of them.
Then we stayed and had lunch up in some mountains someplace. They had a place. We went in some ice caves and around.
Wonder if you went to the Jungfrau. Did you go to the very top?
Oh, I don't know. It
That
was,
cougar clock hanging on the ground. Had that girl down the swing. I don't know where the girl is, but the
yeah,
cougar
but
clock's
we,
on the wall.
then we went, and we stayed in Switzerland, another place. I forget now.
Switzerland is beautiful.
Anyway, they had the horses just pulling a cart or a buggy or something, because we were out sitting on we were out in the street walking, and they would see them go by. Then we got back on the bus, and we had a gal aboard that worked at the World's Fair, and she wanted to know all about Seattle. And so she was talking to us a lot of the time, and then she'd tell us the different things about, she was kind of a guy down there. And then we got over into,
Was we gone 6 weeks?
Oh, we've gone longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stayed at the hotel there in, was it Switzerland? We went back into, yeah, it must have been in Switzerland. And then we flew back to something in Germany, I think it was.
It was in and out of Denver.
We go by bus,
Mm-hmm.
and by train, and by airplane, whatever.
Was this a tour, organized tour, or were you doing
Yeah.
this on your own?
We did it on our own.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
went with the
Kennedyville.
group that flew over. That's
With
why we
it.
got our tickets so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
$339 a piece. You know, you
Some of
couldn't
those
do it
people went
now.
other places.
And then we left them in Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went our own way. Because I wanted to go to Norway and be sure I could see where Mom came from in there. And then,
George, your aunt was still alive. She was...
yeah, George's aunt was still alive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Was that the town where
I have
his
three-
mother or parents were
Yeah,
from?
his
three
mother,
cousins,
not
I
his
think.
dad, but his mother came from that
Stockholm.
near there. Yeah.
Okay.
Then see, we took and we come back on the train along. Let's see, and the
We
Russian
didn't go into
side of
Stockholm. We went
Norway,
to that other
and on
town.
the coast there. And then they took us across the
We bypassed Stockholm, remember?
yeah,
Wasn't in the town we was in,
Strängnäs.
Strängnäs.
That's where his mother's sister.
We run into a girl there
and
from...
cousins from Ballard.
Ballard.
at the train depot. She
like that.
spotted us, and she was going to school there.
She knew you were Americans just
Yeah.
by looking at
Yeah.
you.
They can tell who you are.
So
just
then
about.
got to talking, and she was
Grandpa, can you speak Swedish?
Yeah, you do that little kid.
When you do you remember now?
yeah.
Some of it.
That's why I take Aggie along for an interpreter.
Oh, you can
Yeah.
speak Swedish a little bit.
well, I can
It's
understand.
about the same.
Because they're very
Norwegian.
they're
Yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Are they?
Oh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have. I was going through Mom's old letters from Norway, and I found one from Mom's youngest sister. She came to this country, but she was still in Norway, and she wrote to Mom. And I was going to save that letter and send it to her daughter that's still living back in Minnesota, Lillian. And so I've been kind of reading that. A few words I didn't quite understand, but now
She's the last of that family, and Aggie's the last of ours.
yeah.
Oh.
See, I have no cousins now living, just this one girl that I know about.
Oh.
I got one sister left in ours,
Yeah.
that's Helen.
Helen, I know Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this Lillian, my cousin, they had four, her mother was Mom's younger sister.
She
And
must
they
be
had
86,
three
ain't she?
boys and this one girl. Well, they're all passed away but the girl.
Yeah.
And they weren't that old. Orville and I were the same age. She's been gone now for several years. And then Mom had a brother in Florida, and he had 4 or 5 children. But I don't think there's any of them living. So there's no more. But Lillian, and I should keep in touch with her. I should call her one day, because she's a year older than Mill. So, but she's still okay. Yeah.
But there's people in Norway still.
Yeah, of course, my cousins in Norway have passed away. But
But they have kids. But you don't know who they are.
Yeah. I've been writing to the daughter, one girl there. She can't read English or write English, but the kids can help her, because I think they've learned English at school now. So, and she'll write to me in Norwegian.
And you can read it.
Yeah.
Is it hard to write in Norwegian for you? Grandma?
I don't write it very well, but I can read. But the funny part about getting a letter from Norway back years, they wrote on every inch of the paper, you know, turn it upside down and wrote on. Yeah.
Every square inch counts.
It was really funny. I think I got one here that I've been saving.
What year?
That's Mom's sister, Ellen.
Oh my goodness, I'm going.
Yeah.
Where does it? Yeah, I can see it starts here. Yeah, and then they ran out of room down here.
Yeah, they cover every.
And they start writing.
Yeah. So I was wondering if there was a shortage of paper, or if it cost more if they put 2 pieces in there, or what the scoop was.
Probably a shortage of paper. Sounds like something your mom would have done.
It's that mentality, don't waste anything. Just don't waste it.
And that's written in the 1800s.
This is?
That's a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Oh, Grandma, yeah.
Should frame that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got more of that. Mom put them in a box, and I've saved her letters from her mother and from different one. Her sister, she had
You
two
got that
sisters.
box of stationery from
Write a translation and frame it.
Yeah.
you know.
Did they speak in dialect? Do they, like in the southern Norway and northern Norway?
There's
Did
I imagine they
Yeah,
show up a
yeah.
little different.
They get different.
in Italy, it's very much
Yeah.
the same.
That's right.
But see, now
different.
Pa came from
Yeah.
Norwegian, little hammer to little hammer. You know, they had the, what you call it?
Soft arm.
Yeah.
I hate.
Because I know in one letter from Auntie, her and Mom, she was next to the youngest, and they wrote, and they wanted Mom, her brother wanted her to send him a gold ring. He would like so well to have a gold ring. And he had written that, and I found the letter. And Auntie wanted something else. Nobody, when she came to this
Right.
country. Well, then, I think Auntie came quite a bit later, because after Mom was married, but then her brother, Arnold, Berntina's husband,
Oh.
he came to this country in
okay.
Berntina, and then she had another younger brother named Gus, and he came. They ended up living in Superior, Wisconsin, and then one brother came to Florida because he worked aboard a ship or something, and he was married there and had children. Yeah,
I didn't realize we were related to Barentina by marriage then.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
See,
realize that.
he was Mom's
remember
brother.
her, huh?
Of course, we went to her house when we went to Minnesota
Yeah.
when I was 7, and she was in her 90s then,
Yes.
and made lunch for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her house was perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was like Eva Cooper's. She was like 93.
Yeah.
She made lunch for us.
She came back to Seattle to visit Hilma, you know, and she come and stayed with me, and she was 94. And then, I don't know if she was back much. And then,
She lived to be, what, 98, I think?
yeah,
She
97,
didn't,
98.
she didn't quite make it to 100, but almost.
No, yeah.
Almost.
But when I went back for Hans's funeral, Mila and I went, we stayed with her. And we helped her. We washed up clothes and scrubbed
That was
and
during that
cleaned.
winter.
Yes.
And you remember you were cold.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then she wanted me to stay and not go back to Seattle. She wanted me to stay there and live with her.
Oh.
And I said, well, you know, George is still working, and I probably should go back there and cook for her.
Some
We had 42.
42 carts.
Well, during the war, we served hot food out in the
Yeah.
factory.
How many girls did you have working underneath you?
Mill and I had 85.
85.
85. We were on the hot food carts that went into the factory at that time.
So you'd wheel them around and
No, the Boeing, company pulled these.
Little
They
tractor
were-
for a whole bunch of
They probably were as long as from that wall to here,
train
or a
loaders.
little longer. And then they were a little wider maybe than this table. And they came up like this with flap. Now you flap these two things, and there was a shelf for pie and salad. And then at the back, you pulled out some trays on each side of the wagon. You had plates, knives, and forks.
Coffee.
Then on the space, that big open place, we put sandwiches. And then on the below here was milk, pie, and orange juice, and all kinds of stuff for drinks. And they'd line up on the two lines, one on each side of the cart. And then we had one cashier, and then you had to be able to run them through. And some of them couldn't add very fast because we didn't have adding machines to begin.
Oh.
I had a couple of school teachers from North Dakota, and they didn't do very good. And we had they holler when you wait too long. Boeing thought they didn't. That was too slow. So then they got us adding machines, and I'd stand in that end, and they had it hooked up for me, and I could run the adding machine, and I'd add them so that I waited for their money.
Yeah.
Because I could see what they were getting. I stood on the milk
Yeah, you
box.
stood like
you
this
had
on
the
the end.
receipt ready when they got
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
And so that was their fault that they didn't move fast enough. And you know that Mr. Jim Cheek was for Boeing. He'd come and inspect everything, weigh the meat to see how much I was putting on sandwiches.
Oh.
Had to be so much, no more, no less for the price. And same way with the cheese. And I had one girl, and all she did was to cut that. And I said, you cut it just exactly. She had a list. She'd set the cutter, you know, so that it would slice the meat so thin.
Certain weight.
Yeah. Oh, they watched
Boy.
to see that I had a full crew. If I didn't, I had to get it on the phone and start doing some jiggling. I could get help in the factory for the lunch hour, and they'd get free meal if I could find a girl that was quick on the draw, you know.
Yeah.
And I did have a couple that I used.
Well, Helen worked there too, my sister.
Yeah, but she didn't. She worked in the office.
She went to Renton, didn't she?
Yeah, for a while she did. But if they weren't fast,
Yeah.
then we couldn't keep them. And then we had to be awful careful. We had one girl that Boeing's wouldn't, we had to get rid of her because she did something kind of against the war or something.
Oh.
Yeah, and we got orders to let her go.
That's right.
So they
And you
checked
probably
in.
had to worry about people stealing from it too.
I caught a girl with a pie going out the door when she got outside. I was right behind her.
Yeah.
I said, "You want to keep your job or don't you? What do you want to do?" I said, "You go back, put the pie back on the rack. And she did. I said, "Well, I won't turn you in now, but I said, don't do that again, then I have to turn you in."
That's the biggest problem with the restaurant business today, don't you think? People stealing.
Well, I tell you, I never took one thing that wasn't mine. Never. But I had all the work I could handle. The 5 of them all lined up. And then they could go and have ice cream or something till I was through, so I'd go pay for that. But they never, give them strict orders, they couldn't run around and do nothing, they had to stand there. And they did. And then we'd catch the bus and go downtown and do school shopping. I had my vacation pay and regular pay, and it went.
New shoes probably.
Yeah, they knew coats, whatever they needed. So if they'd help me, and then we'd get back to Boeing's, we'd get in the car and I'd drive home. But boy, after working 8 hours and then shopping for...
Oh, I bet you were tired. Maybe 10.
Yeah, I suppose Georgie was 12, maybe 14. But they'd call me. They were shopping. "What do you think, Ma? This is like this and like that." You know, she'd tell me about it. And I said, "Well, if you like it, but save the slip, and I can always exchange it." But they were pretty good if they didn't. I always tell them to talk to this one or strangers.
Yeah.
He would go, but Jimmy wasn't afraid of anybody.
You get him in trouble.
Yeah. He wasn't afraid of anything. He wasn't scared to run away either. He ran up on old 91
Yeah.
when that was the only highway we had. You know what that was
99,
like?
isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
95
no.
or 99 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Just
We're going to cross the highway.
you probably had a heart attack.
Jerry says, "Ma, Jim is running away." And I said, "Run and get him." "No," he said, "I won't." He wouldn't run away. So I'd run downstairs and out the back door and across. I caught him at the edge of the road.
When the jack you had out in the pen and they untied someone down the alley.
Oh yeah, we had a sandbox kind of by the coastline, so I could watch them when they played. Well, one day they must have gone with Roger down. They lived 2-3 doors down. And Jackie I had him in a playpen, but some way he got it jiggled some way because it was during the war and everything was wood. And he'd jiggle it where the wood kind of fit together and busted them, you know, and I had to tie him. And I suppose he got out some way, and he crawled on his hands and knees. He wasn't very old. A funny thing we did, Neil and Max always wanted the big garden. So one year they had planted a lot of corn, and we heard there was a cannery over by an instead of Bellevue someplace, you know. And how did I ever... Somebody must have given me an address. I found it, and this was after work. We didn't get out maybe a little after 2. Mill and I went out and got the corn and put it in a thing, and she sat in the back seat.
Husking corn on the way over.
She husked it while I was driving.
What a team.
And we made it to the cannery. We had to do a little husking there, but we got it in, and I don't think we had to take it off the cob, or did we have a machine that kind of did it? But anyway, we got it out. And we brought it there, and they canned the corn, and there was a number on top of the cans. So I knew. So I got some, and Mill got some. But rather than do it, we didn't have pressure cookers.
Yeah.
Oh.
got it later.
Yeah.
And so they canned it, and we had canned corn
But
out
you
of the
pay so
garden.
much at a
But
camp.
when I think of it, we worked all
you
day, hurried home and picked corn and husked it on the way. Oh, gosh. oh,
Good teamwork.
oh, man. When I think about it, how did we ever live through it, you know?
Yeah, to work 8 hours and then come home and work